ready.
S-D-P. The Steve Dangle Podcast. With your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Let's go!
Breaking news as of the recording of this podcast, the 2022 Tim Hortons NHL Heritage Classic will feature the Toronto Maple Leafs and Buffalo Sabres March 13th at Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton.
I didn't know that.
Well,
that's neat.
It broke at 11:01. We were recording at 11:20.
Okay.
So there you go.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, it's rare that something breaks beforehand, but thank goodness it did.
How much does the capacity for Tim Hortons Field? What are the odds we can get tickets for that?
Well, we got to get tickets for that.
Well,
Hortons Field capacity.
Everything
23,000, but I'm sure, like with BMO Field in Toronto, you can add to it.
Yeah. Like that's this football capacity?
I think BMO Field is like 25, and then for the Grey Cup, which they couldn't sell enough tickets to because people in Toronto don't care, they added enough seating for 36,000 because they put a new bandstand in. Or grandstand, excuse me. And yeah.
So the record attendance for BMO Field is the Centennial Classic, not even the Super Bowl. They had 40,148 people there.
And that was the same year they did the Grey Cup. Mm-hmm. And so the Centennial Classics, that's why they had it, right? They were like, we'll do both, and we'll bring in the extra grandstand, and then we'll get rid of it. But yeah.
That's
super duper.
That's and
Oski Wee Wee.
Oski Wawa.
If you're an American or somebody outside of CFL fandom, you probably won't get that, but that is the cheer for the Tiger Cats for some reason, and I don't know why.
Wait, correct me if I'm wrong. Oski Wee Wee, Oski Wawa, come on Tigers, eat 'em raw?
Is that what it is?
I'm fairly certain that's what I heard at a game once, and I'm just realizing how interesting of a chant that is.
That's very interesting. Jesse, can you turn down my headphone volume just a wee bit? Sorry, buddy.
I can.
Just because.
Am I too loud, Adam? Is that becoming an issue?
Oski Wee Wee almost stabbed my eardrums out. Like, I can't. Is
that better? Is that better?
Much better.
Oski
Thank you so
Wawa.
much. Thank you.
Is it me?
No, it is.
Now I sound
You were pretty loud.
You were loud. You were loud.
I'm a loud person.
You're here to be loud.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why we have you in this nice studio with these great mics, so you can be loud.
Did Kipper or Burke reach out about your presence?
No, but I saw Kipper liked one.
Oh,
So perhaps he saw it.
He's coming back on, soon, and we're gonna have him on. And I want to see if we can have Kipper here physically. I want to see if Steve will do it to his face.
Especially the hands. I don't know what you're doing there, but the hands were working.
The thing is that Nick doesn't need to physically intimidate you. He's pretty good with words. So,
Well, it's good that I'm catching him in a good mood, though.
What do you mean?
Because I don't know if I've told this story on the podcast, but back in 2015, I was working behind the scenes. So the Hockey Night in Canada panel, I was up in the room that later became the ice surfing studios, where they would watch all the games on all the screens. So it was like Kipper, Friedge, all of them. Mm-hmm. And they're watching the games, and it's quiet. Everyone's paying attention. And I'm watching the game as well, behind all of them. And the puck is like in the neutral zone or something like that. So nothing exciting is going on. And all of a sudden, this big Greek voice just goes, "Yes!" and starts high-fiving everyone in the room, going, "Fucking love my Jays." fucking love my Jays. Because they got a home run.
Wow.
So he's got to be, they've won, 30 out of their last 20 games or something like that? They're unbelievable.
And Vlad might get the Triple Crown, which is crazy. First time since 2012. I think it was Cabrera with the Tigers.
And not win MVP.
Yeah, because honestly, I know everybody will be like, well, he deserves it. Shohei Ohtani does deserve it.
The literal Babe Ruth is playing in the MLB today. How are you not going to give him the MVP?
You have to give it to Ohtani. It has to.
Wild.
Yeah.
Wild.
It's always a bummer when you put in a career season and someone's like, yeah, me too, and I'm better. Right. That's a bummer, man. It's a bummer. It's like when Doug Gilmour's best season as a Leaf, and it's considered the best single season of all time. I think he had 135 points or something.
127.
So insane, right? But Gretzky had 170 that year or something stupid.
Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah.
And he was like, aw, that's it.
And Gretzky's done this 8 times, doesn't even bat an eye at it.
It's literally not even a top 5 season for
No,
him.
it's not.
Bananas.
So I did want to tell you about a DM that I got. I've got a couple DMs. The first one was somebody on Instagram a few minutes ago saying, please stop spewing your far left views on this show. And as far as I can tell, it's because I'm pro-vax, but I have no idea if that's the case or not. So I wrote back. I said, just for this, we're talking about Karl Marx in History Corner today. So that's what we're going to do.
That's what we're going to do.
Real quick on that. I won't go too long. The other one was...
Go half an hour.
I get the more... I've never had such a visceral reaction to anything more than the Manscaped ads that we do. And, good company, and actually the product works. I actually have it. And
for your balls.
Yeah. And so somebody messaged me, and the message was super aggressive, and they said, "Hey, stop doing the balls ads." Like, they were really mad about it. And like, I wrote back and I said, "Just for that, I'm doing 2 for you next episode." And then he's like, "No, stop it. They suck." And I said 3. And then he was like, "No, please." And I said 4. I can keep this going all night.
That's funny.
And then finally, he actually wrote a really nice message and said, "Hey, I'm a huge fan, blah, 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 blah. Listen, I know those ads make you uncomfortable, but there's a lot of people I know that are buying them because we're talking about them."
After he said, "Listen, I'm a really big fan," you should have gone, 5! Enough is enough!
I'm going to talk to our sales department and see if there's an all Manscaped episode that we can do.
Brought to you by Matt, or whatever his name is.
Yeah. And by the way, when we do that episode, we'll definitely be giving out his Twitter account, so you can tweet him and thank him for the all Manscaped edition of the Steve Dangle Podcast.
And don't have a block of reads.
Oh, just spread them out?
Strategically spread them out before the show, and do it after every intro to a topic.
Well, what we can do...
So what I wanted to get into, bam, ad. Ilya Mikheyev, what was he thinking? Balls! Right there, balls! Sorry. What'd you want to talk about?
I don't know, man. Hey, well, it leaves to Tim Hortons Field, Buffalo Sabres.
Right.
And like I said to you before, it's a guaranteed Leafs loss. Guaranteed.
It's not, though.
It
we
is.
proved
Guaranteed.
that wrong. They're 2-1.
They're 2-1. It's guaranteed.
They're playing Buffalo. Should anyone lose to Buffalo? Guaranteed Leafs loss.
0-82.
Craig Anderson, 50 saves in a 5-2 win. For the Sabres. Come on now.
All right, so I thought you guys would like this. Obviously, later on in the show, we're going to have our way too early predictions. And our way too early predictions are going to include division winners, 8 playoff teams from each conference winners and cup champs, your Hart, your Norris, and your Calder. And we might even do some, if I can find point totals expected by Vegas, we might do an over-under on that eventually, but not today. So
I like that.
So, in the meantime, if you had... Gentlemen,
one shot,
one opportunity.
Sorry,
would you capture it and shave your balls? I wanted to know if you had one complaint about the playoffs, the last 2 to 3 seasons, what would it be? What's the ubiquitous, always common denominator answer?
The Leafs losing.
Other than that,
in the first round.
I mean, that's a fair comment.
Penalties.
What about them?
They're not being called.
Bingo.
I was going to say the fact they're in the summer.
So the NHL for forever has gotten away with this. Because really, I mean, I know the NBA is slightly different in the playoffs. So it's a little more rough and tumble, but even so, it's not like noticeable to where you're almost building two. Like the NHL, you have to build 2 teams. Here's your team for the regular season. Here's your team for the playoffs.
Yeah.
The NBA, it's like you just got to get a little tougher.
Yeah, the NBA has the problem on the other end where it's over officiated in the final 5 minutes of a basketball game, where everything can be replayed, everything can be stopped and microanalyzed, and that really slows down the flow. It's
boring.
Of the game. It's boring because you're sitting there for a 2-minute segment of a basketball game, takes half an hour to play, which is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous that for the last 3 years we could have correctly said, and this past year we were proven it was correct. We could correctly say Montreal might not make the playoffs, but if they get in, they'll be good.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. And it's not a shot against the Habs. It's ridiculous that I can identify, yes, they're a poor regular season team, But when they get to the playoffs, I could see them making some noise.
Here, take a drink. Here's another Brian Burke reference. He came on the show in December
Before
the season. Take a highball. He said, watch out for Montreal because they're a tough team, and if they get into the playoffs, they're going to do damage. And it's ridiculous to say that because it's two different sports.
No one said, if Tampa gets in the playoffs, they're going to be good. No, they're just good.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't make sense.
Which is the way it should always be for every team.
Yes.
So, nobody, other than the occasional coach who's fined $5,000 after the game for criticizing the officials, nobody's complained.
Or guys with podcasts.
And honestly, who gives a shit what we think? Although, apparently people do. We keep hearing that. So,
people are saying.
The interesting thing with this is that we've never had a star player come out and call it out. And I love this quote. Quote, call the rule book, Connor McDavid.
I love it.
Now, how many calls were made on Connor McDavid in the first round of the playoffs this year?
0.
0 calls. And there is, by the way, if you can find it on Twitter, somebody did like a supercut of all of the all the times he was literally mauled. Like they jumped on his back and rode him like piggyback and nothing.
It's pretty rich of Connor McDavid to say that though, because how easily he forgets the bubble when there were also 0.
Was that true?
8 straight games Connor McDavid has not drawn a penalty in the playoffs.
Not a penalty.
Not drawn
See,
a penalty.
That I didn't know.
The best player in the sport.
That's egregious.
Like the fastest player in the sport, league MVP, scoring title. Nope. Can't buy one.
Now, one thing that and people forget this because a lot of us were too young, even of our generation, were too young when Gretzky was at his peak. But Wayne Gretzky used to throw his weight around when he needed to. It was never in your face. It was never like yelling or screaming. But if Wayne Gretzky thought something was stupid, he would mention it.
And also, he was surrounded by essentially guns with mullets.
Yeah, that's true. But if
half a lineup that was there to protect Wayne Gretzky.
But I'm not talking about on the ice. I'm talking about off.
Oh,
like there was the time when like New Jersey, he called them like the Mickey Mouse franchise. Did you know that?
I vaguely remember this. Why did he do that?
Because they were terrible and they'd always been terrible. And he's like, it's literally a Mickey Mouse franchise. Like they're just. You imagine that today, right?
Speaking of those franchises, I cannot wait to talk about the documentary.
Oh,
I cannot wait.
The Trashers? Yeah, we'll get to it.
Yes.
So, Gretzky used to do this. And and I think Mario did it a little bit too. Mario for sure does it behind the scenes. He's an owner.
Didn't he do something with Matt Cook?
Probably.
Yeah.
You would know better than I would because that was the era I took off because the Leafs were so bad I couldn't watch anymore. But I think at the end of the day, the star players have to. Because they're the ones on the ground. And frankly, whether they like it or not, they're sort of a representation of both the players on the ice, every player, and a good chunk of the fans as well. And like LeBron James takes it, LeBron throws his weight around. He should throw his weight around. That's the way you do it. If you're the best player in the game, you should be able to do this. Connor McDavid's doing this. So here's what he said. You obviously want to call the rule book. That's what it's there for. If you call each and every one, there's lots of penalties. But if there's lots of penalties, there's lots of penalties. That's just the way it is. The rule book's there for a reason. And if you want to call it with integrity, if you guys get away with certain things, if you let guys, get away with certain things, they're going to keep getting away with it. It's a tough job referees have, and sometimes one that I don't envy. And I think that last sentence people will feel like, oh, that's a cop-out.
It's he should run for office.
It's not
very political.
That's not a cop-out, though.
No, I don't think so.
And I'll tell you why, and then you could see your side of it here. The referees are being pressured to call it this way. As we know,
to call it rough
in the playoffs, to change the way they call it. That is a dictum from the NHL. And in fact, we have proof of that because did they not retire a ref early?
Tim Peel.
This year. Yeah. I had to do a makeup call. Parody. Everybody wants it until you actually have to do it, until it happens to your team. Then you don't like parody.
That's it needs to be said again. They were wrong for that. They were
wrong for the idea in the first place. They're wrong for makeup calls.
But once it happened, what were they supposed to do? You couldn't let him keep
No, you
reffing
couldn't.
once it was out there.
I know.
And the
'Cause
thing,
it's
and they kept paying
especially
him.
with betting and everything.
Yeah, there's too many things on the line.
He wasn't fired with cause, so they got to pay him, and they have to pay his thing out because they know if they'd fired him with cause, which objectively in a vacuum they could have done. They catch a referee saying something like that on the ice. You could fire somebody for that, but then he would come back and go, "Well, I have all this proof."
So they can't.
So they can't.
They just didn't schedule him for more games.
That's right. Great way to phase somebody out.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Connor McDavid nailed it there because he's not going to turn, and this is a really smart psychological move. He's not going to go criticize the referees because the referees are going to make penalty calls this year.
Well,
and if you criticize the referees, it does happen.
And this past season, he was Captain Elbow.
Oh, well,
Connor McDavid, he skates like this now. Oh yeah. He was, but like, what is he supposed to do?
I don't blame him.
Austin Matthews was Captain Crosscheck.
Yeah.
What are they supposed to do?
I mean,
Someone tell me what they're supposed to do.
I just want them to score. I think that's what they're supposed to do.
No, they got to like literally defend themselves with plastic elbow pads and carbon fiber sticks to the spine. Like war. Like straight up. Like people forget, again, with the whole manly man conversation that we had last episode, people forget it's a sport. That doesn't mean who can kick whose ass the hardest. If you want that, get into MMA. And even that
is not really about that.
There's still arguments because there's always the Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor thing. You know, Nate Diaz would have won round 6 if it exists, but it friggin' doesn't. It's a sport and there are rules. And the point that Jeff Merrick always brings up, and it's a valid point, or it's a valid question, I should say. How much of the game do you want to be spent on the power play? Right? What percent of the game do you want to be spent on the power play? Don't break the rules. Like, they'll adjust.
Right.
They'll adjust. So, okay, is this the way it's going to be forever? No. Or do you take a couple seasons to go through some growing pains and fix the sport? They did that in 2005.
And then they got off. They
and
took the foot off the gas.
off.
Yeah, I know. Have you ever seen that picture of Sweden the morning that they switched sides in driving? There's like a very old school picture of like Sweden, and I guess they made a ruling that like, we don't want to drive on this side of the road, we're going to drive on the other side of the road. And the next day, there's a picture of it, and it's insane. Like, people are just, they don't know what the fuck to do.
Oh, no.
But they figured it out.
Right.
When you drive, when we go to Europe, we go to Europe, we have to drive on the other side of the road. We figure it out.
By the way, I've been to Scotland several times, and can I tell you, falling asleep in the passenger seat and waking up is terrifying.
That would be kind of scary.
Happens all the time. You would
Is this the photo?
This is the photo. Is it Sweden? Yeah. Isn't that nuts? Like, no one knows what to do, and that's relatively modern. I guess it's not 100 years ago. It looks like it's
1987.
Oh, okay, so definitely not.
Why is it black and white?
I don't know.
That's let me triple check.
It's amazing what cars look like now. I can't believe that's
1967.
Thank God. I was like, that wasn't the year before I was born.
Had to be the Leafs.
What do you?
Had to be 67.
Had to be. A lot of things happen.
So, but to that point, right? You adjust. You figure it out. And as Connor McDavid said, call it with integrity. And this is really truly, there are implications to this beyond we're kind of annoyed watching it as fans. Because when it comes to the deepening relationship between odds makers and the NHL and third party, right? And obviously this is not a big deal in the States, but in Canada, we finally got approval to do single game betting. And like Jesse said, you're gonna be able to log onto your app in the third period, and you bet on whether or not Matthews will score in the last 10 minutes. You'll be able to do that.
Hat trick.
You're allowed to take those odds, whatever they are.
You can do it today, like on.
Can you do it today?
On ProLine Plus is the first sports book that's launched single game betting. So because it's the Ontario system, so they're out ahead of everybody. But by the end of the year, other sports books will come into the market. But today, you could do it on the government system.
Yeah, and that's and there's going to be, I guess, the rest of the companies, the non-government lotteries, are waiting on the Ontario government to give them like, what are the rules here? And I think, there's other things happening right now, so they haven't had the chance to really draft all that. But you got to be ready. There's an enormous storm of betting coming in Ontario and across Canada.
So it's always been very clear. So is weed legal? Yeah.
But
can we sell it anywhere? No.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you ever walked down Queen Street in Toronto?
No. Now.
Originally, it was going to be 3 stores in Toronto.
Yes, and a Shoppers Drug Mart.
Yeah, and then we elected a new government, and they were like, "No, anyone can."
Yeah. It's just no. Couple of you, all of you, every single person. Everyone works at a weed shop.
Lottery. They had like a lottery at the beginning. Like, we're only going to give out 10 of these licenses. Okay, we're going to give out 500 of these licenses. Who are we kidding?
And it was a $10,000 entry into the lottery, and then you needed to get your business up and running within 6 months, or you lost your license that you paid for. And then there was a couple businesses, they're like, we couldn't do this. And they lost their weed license. And then if they had just waited like a year, every single Joe can open up a weed shop.
How do you screw this up?
You've never seen so many weed stores as you have in Toronto. There's so many weed stores. It's insane.
I don't even know how many on the way here.
Yeah. And it's, good. If people are out there making money, great. That's awesome. There's just a lot. And
that's the overcorrection after the initial, you're not allowed to have any. Because, oh my God, there's so many, and then there will be fewer, and then that's perfect.
Yeah, you find your equilibrium, right?
Yes.
I also want to say that...
Or do we just keep it no weed stores ever? Which is... that's how the NHL would run it.
Yeah,
there's 3 weed stores forever. Forever there's 3 weed stores.
That's it.
Done. I, Gary Bettman, the weed dealer. 3. That's it. That's how they run
Actually, we like to refer to him as G Money. He's in my phone for that.
That's fine. You can call him whatever.
While we're here, put alcohol in convenience stores.
Yeah.
When you go to Montreal, it's that convenient.
Or Alberta when it goes on sale.
Oh, that's a thing?
And it's not even like a little sale. Like you could have a 24 pack of beer that, let's say it's Heineken. They can have a Heineken weekend and they'll sell it at $1 a beer.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like chicken.
Yes.
It just goes on sale.
Yeah. It's just another commodity.
We're actually run by the 2 green aliens from The Simpsons.
Yes.
Beer in all the convenience stores. Boo. Beer in none of the convenience stores. Boo. Beer in some of the convenience stores. Some of the time. Yeah. That's what we have.
And the thing was, so if you're unfamiliar with the Ontario liquor laws, here's how ridiculous it is. You can have you couldn't buy liquor in a grocery store, which to Americans is like, what? You couldn't buy anything in grocery stores for the longest time, and then they finally allowed beer and wine below a certain amount of alcohol percentage. I think it's 14. But you can't buy spirits at the grocery store because God forbid you bought chicken breasts and a bottle of vodka at the same time.
No,
it's just
buy
wild.
4 cases of Coors Light.
Yeah,
but no vodka.
No vodka. No way. And every time we do this, people go, "What about the children?" And then now we've got weed on every corner, and by the way, the weed stores are gorgeous. All of them are nice.
They're all like a Nordic spa.
Yes, they all like
some of them. It's too much.
I've read.
Like you walk in there and it's this luxury establishment.
Yes, and they go to the back because you can't see it.
Yeah,
you're not allowed to see the weed.
No,
you have to look. Law. It's on the touch screen, so you got to touch. Yeah. Oh, I can see it. A picture of what my round edible will look like. But we shan't actually see it on the shelf. I can't just go pick it up. So they go back and they get it for you and they have a nice little conversation or whatever. The one up the street from me taught me a really interesting lesson. I don't know if you guys I'm into edibles. I love edibles because I'm an asthmatic, so smoking sometimes is a little rough. And so I went and I actually got into the weed drinks this summer, the infused whatever.
Yep.
And they're fun. But what's hilarious about our regulations is that most of them come in a pop can sized drink. You can only buy 5 of those. You cannot buy a 6-pack. You can only buy 5 of them. Now, you remember the smaller pops that you can get, like the lunch-sized Coca-Cola?
Chubbies.
Well, no, just the smaller pop cans. Yes.
Oh, like
I know what you're talking
about.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about with Chubbies, but these are like the smaller Coca-Cola cans that are 250 milliliters or whatever. They're tiny.
Yeah.
So those ones, you can buy up to 10 of those. What's interesting is the ones that are in the big pop can, if you could get them at 2.5 milligrams, 5 milligrams, or 10 milligrams or something like that, right? You can actually, it doesn't matter what the concentration is. So
It's the weight?
So it's the weight. So they judge it based on weight. So if you buy 10 milligram tiny little drinks, which will mess you up, like I'm a 200 pounder, right? And that's a lot. You can buy more of those than you can of the 2.5 concentrate. And it has everything to do with how much fluid is in it, nothing to do with how much weed is in that fluid.
Connor McDavid.
Isn't that wild?
Right.
None of that made sense.
I know.
Connor McDavid was right.
It'd be like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yes. No,
yes.
I understand.
Okay.
Here,
Balls.
One final thing before in the long ago, before masks.
Right.
I was in a weed store, and a guy I go through the whole process, and I go up to the counter, and he just goes, "Your secret's safe with me, Steve."
There's a guy at a Tokyo Smoke across the street from where I live, and I've been in there a couple times. He's like, "Love the podcast, man." And he always has my
that's
order
so
ready.
cool.
It's awesome.
That's amazing. I love that.
What a guy.
I love that.
Good
I love
for him.
that. So yeah, Connor McDavid asking to call the rule book, and as we were saying with the Vegas odds, and this is what's going to be really important. And I know I was sidetracked there. What's really important here?
Weed.
What's really
Balls.
What's really important here is that if the NHL's integrity is called into question, and a lot of people called me on this with the Evander Kane stuff, which, by the way, his interview's coming in very soon with I believe it's ESPN.
Yeah, we're gonna miss it.
We're gonna miss it. We'll see what he actually says.
We'll hit it on Tuesday.
Yeah. I don't think he's gonna say much, to be honest with you. No. But when it comes to this, if the NHL's officiating is ever called into question, which objectively you could make the argument, you really could, and it's not on the referees on this one. It's the people writing the referee's check. If that's ever called into question, the right or all those odds and that sort of thing in Vegas all of a sudden are worth nothing. And the NHL loses a ton of money, and Vegas loses a ton of money, which makes Vegas mad at the NHL, which is not good for
and
business.
Everyone surrounding the NHL.
Right.
And you know what? It's funny that you mentioned that.
Like, it actually is now, sorry to interrupt you. It's now bad business. The NHL will lose money if they don't change this.
But it's funny that you mention that they're told to call the game a certain way, because we always say, "Oh, refs are so bad. Refs are so bad." I think refs are good at calling a game a certain way. And if you tell them to call it a different way, they'll call it that way to a T. Perfect. Right? Mm-hmm. Like, think of how many games they've officiated over the years, different levels, different skill sets, and everything. They're actually really good at calling it exactly, this is what you want.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is what you want.
And we'd see that if they actually made the adjustment, right? Mm-hmm. We'd really see that.
You can be very sure that if both teams take 3 minors in the first period, what are both teams adjusting, or are the refs just like, all right, second and third is anarchy? That's what's happening. It's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Leafs take 2 penalties. Guess who's getting the next 2? The other guys. That's how it works. It's so rare that there was a line chart that I saw, and it was penalties drawn versus penalties taken. Almost every team in the league was basically right on the line in terms of the Leafs take very few penalties. They draw very few penalties. The Avalanche draw a shitload of penalties, take a shitload of penalties, and the Ducks were like the outlier. They just take a bunch of penalties.
And if one of 31 is an outlier, then you have a pattern.
Yes. You have a very easily to distinguish pattern.
Even Dom would come on the show and go, I agree with your math conclusion there, Adam.
He should learn math from me.
And so this is the point here. The NHL does have to rectify this, but they're not going to do it yet until their pocketbooks or their PR look bad. Connor McDavid coming out and saying this, unfortunately, he didn't say it in the middle of the season. If he had, this would have been bigger news. But you need players like him and more players to speak up. He's now come out and said it. The door is open. If you feel the same way and you're an NHL player, this is the time. Start talking about it. Start getting it out there. It's going to take a few years, but if they keep talking about this, because the fans know The fans know. And I don't have a problem with things getting a little tougher in the playoffs. Sure. I have a problem with the fundamental game changing in the playoffs.
Well, and again, I'm moving the goalpost here because I was talking about the 2005-2006 season, which most people in hockey agree they don't want to get back to that. I'm literally asking the rule book in the regular season, keep that. Keep that save some paper. You don't need 2 books. Save some paper. Keep it for the playoffs, April, May, June, and then go home. Just do your job the same way. That's all. Don't flip the April switch.
Yeah, that's it.
I
don't know what the problem is.
Literally it.
Anyway, there you go. Connor McDavid on that. Today's episode is sponsored by the NBA and their quest to advance the game of basketball, grow the community, bring communities together, and impact culture. The league celebrates its teams, players, and fans from across the past, present, and future as a part of the 75th anniversary season that they're celebrating this year. That's Game highlights pivotal moments on court and beyond, from iconic plays in arenas to the impact players have had in the community. That's the NBA. That's Game. I know, for instance, in our community, the Raptors are in the schools. They're everywhere all the time, building basketball arenas, doing incredible community outreach programs, and that's what the wider NBA is all about. So it's more than just basketball. You know that, I know that, and it's what connects us all, and it keeps us coming back for more. That's the NBA. That's Game. Check it out. All right, here it is. It's your favorite commercial of the SDP. Favorite one. What do you think it is? Yeah, that's right. It's Manscaped. And listen, we need to talk about the Performance Package 4.0 from Manscaped. It's not only taken off in the USA, but in Canada, here, of course, the UK, and across Europe, Australia, South Africa, Singapore. We're talking in every country, people are discovering what it's like to be so fresh and so clean and so aerodynamic. And that's what Manscaped wants. First off, let's talk about the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. This spaceship is here to guide you on a journey to trim that area of your body, even your anus. Sorry, it's here. The 4th generation trimmer also features cutting-edge ceramic blade technology. We're talking no accidents. You know what I mean? And there's so much more that comes in this package. But what I love about it is the fact that it actually has an LED light, so you could see what's happening. Do you know what I'm saying? And here's the thing. We want to give you 20% off and free shipping when you go to manscaped.com. Just use the code DANGLE, DANGLE. That's 20% off for a very clean, out-of-this-world feeling. I know that me reading this and talking to you about that area of your body might make you uncomfortable, but the whole point is we don't want you to be uncomfortable down there. So you should get 20% off at manscaped.com with the promo code DANGLE, DANGLE. Just go there, manscaped.com, promo code DANGLE, and you will have a fresh and clean and aerodynamic and just out of this world body experience, okay? Manscaped.com, use the promo code DANGLE, get 20% off, get free shipping. Go. And by the way, we'll be back with another one of these next episode. Now, on top of that, the Oilers, not every year is the go for a year. We know this.
Right.
We've made a lot of the Ken Holland quote. Now, if you're an Oilers fan and you're upset, I mean, they've made some moves this offseason. Zach Hyman was a great one. Some other questionable ones, but we'll see how it goes. You still have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, so you're fine. Ken Holland says the time is now for the Oilers to become Stanley Cup favorites. He said it's time for them to evolve into Stanley Cup contenders. Now, when I see that, that's the GM putting that on the players, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Which I appreciate.
I mean, I don't think any of us had the Oilers getting swept by the Jets.
No.
No disrespect to the Jets, but what the
yeah.
What was that?
Yep. Yeah.
What was it? I mean, the Oilers losing in 4 to Chicago. I did have a sneaking suspicion because I'm like, okay, there's a team that's been there 1,000 times versus the Oilers.
Right.
But the Jets,
The Jets were also in second place for a large part of the season. I think, and they had a horrendous last month of the season.
They were brutal.
In the middle and early goings on, they were behind the Leafs.
Oh yeah, no, they were very good to start.
And with that quote, like when I hear a GM say something like that, I'm like, okay, what do we want him to say though? You know, you want your GM to come out and say, "Hey, we're going for the Stanley Cup." There's no really other option for him to say anything other than, yeah, this is our year. Because 32 GMs should believe that every year, hey, we're going to win this Stanley Cup.
Well, but thanks to the salary cap, we can't.
No, Ken Holland's
Sabres. Kevin Adams like, yeah, sure, everybody believes that.
Ken Holland just throws his arms up and walks away from the podium. Goes, I don't know.
That would be a very interesting quote.
It'd be the best non-word quote we've ever seen. Kevin Adams.
And most Oilers fans would be like, all right,
probably.
fair enough.
Hey, at least he's us.
Yeah.
No, but this is interesting because Ken Holland goes on to talk about, because, pedigree, gentlemen. Mm-hmm. The time is now to try and take a step, he said. The Stanley Cup doesn't just happen. You evolve, you grow, you have multiple chances, you have disappointments.
Sure.
In 93, 94, 95, we couldn't get it done in Detroit. Neither 96.
Oh, this is still the quote of him talking about the Detroit days?
By 98, we had the blueprint and the recipe.
That was so long.
So then,
I don't like that.
And this is a Mark Spector article. You can check it out at sportsnet.ca.
None of those years happened after Connor McDavid was born.
We've talked to Spec many times, but in Keith, Hyman, Fogle, Derek Ryan, and Cody Ceci, he has added genuine NHL veteran players who belong in the league. Okay, now is that the bar we're setting here? Well, he should play here. He's good enough.
Oh boy,
there aren't some obscure players on 1-year deals or a rookie potential that comes with zero NHL experience.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Also,
I believe that's a shot at, like the Dennis Mulligan contracts or like the Ozhiganov contract or whatever.
Or like a Joe Thornton contract.
Yeah.
That's a dangerous quote. Rookies.
Now, I know originally...
What rookies have ever helped win a Stanley Cup?
Originally, that quote actually said they aren't some obscure Euro on a 1-year deal, but that has since been changed. I guess Holland said, I guess I could just have said, we'll give the jobs to the best of our young players. But my thinking process is to bring in established NHL players. And hopefully over the next 40 games, some of those younger players grow to become a part of the situation or the solution. But we're waiting for them to grow. We had to add some veteran established players to our roster.
So my problem with the early part of that quote, when he's referencing Detroit in 93 and 95, I just want to yell and be like, move on. The Oilers management group is littered with guys from the heyday of the Edmonton Oilers. And I feel like
Detroit Red Wings, right?
No, the Edmonton Edmonton group.
Sorry, you're right. Yeah,
around Ken Holland
right.
is just people from when Edmonton was great,
which was so long ago.
Gretzky
got traded the summer after I was born,
and I feel like when you have this mentality, we need to do it again like the '80s, we need to do it again like Detroit in '95. You need to realize that the players who are on your team now have nothing to do with those teams and that championship pedigree that your era had back in your day. Like, these guys have nothing to do with that. And you need to instill something else here currently in 2021 for these guys to win, and not just talk about how you won 40 years ago.
My question based on what you just said is, when is Ken Holland going to become the GM of the Edmonton Oilers? He's still the GM of the Red Wings.
Wow.
He is. Up here, he still is. He's still talking about it?
So I'm just looking at the Red Wings team that didn't get by Toronto in 93. This is the beginning of the era that went up. 4 Hall of Famers stand out to me right off the top. Paul Coffey, who'd already done it 4 or 5 times.
Many times.
Sergei Fedorov.
Young.
Steve Yzerman.
Established.
Dino Ciccarelli.
Established.
And I believe that is it. Is Vyacheslav Kozlov is he in the Hall of Fame?
I don't think so.
Okay. Gerard Gallant also on that team, interestingly.
Oh, hey. Oh.
So next season, let's move on. And I was just looking at playoff scoring there. We got Fedorov, Shepard, Yzerman, Coffey, Kozlov, Primo, Ciccarelli, Lidstrom. So of those 8 players I just named, I believe Kozlov, Shepard, and Primo are not in the Hall of Fame currently.
But like one was like, wasn't Keith Primo a first overall pick or
Yeah,
something?
it was pretty and he was, Ray Shepard doesn't get enough credit. Ray Shepard was really good.
Also very
Although
good.
check this out though. In 95, 96, 30 goals, 10 assists.
Hey,
That's a finisher.
Cy Young candidate.
Coffey, Fedorov, Cicerelli, Primo, Shepard, Yzerman, Kozlov, Lidstrom. And that, like it just gets, and that's 94, 95. Like we're talking about a team with 5 or 6. And I know there was no salary cap back then, but this was a team that was loaded with stars.
Those guys were teammates also for like over a decade.
Yeah.
And you couldn't do that today.
And
You just could not.
The first Stanley Cup they won, the first 5 people on the top scoring list for this team are in the Hall of Fame currently, along with at least one of the goalies, maybe 2.
That was Vernon Osgood.
Vernon Osgood. Is Osgood in the Hall of Fame?
No, he
I know
probably
there's
will
debate.
be, though.
He probably will be. And there's a huge debate about whether he should be. But Vernon is. Shanahan, Yzerman, Fedorov, Lidstrom, Larionov. I mean, it's, you know what I mean? It's not apples to apples here, right?
God,
It's
they were
not.
good.
It's not fair. Now, you could argue that Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid together make up for like a good chunk of that.
Okay, there's 2.
But there is a drop.
Still need 3 more.
Right. And maybe they are better than Yzerman and Shanahan ever were. Maybe the 2 of those guys are better. And I would listen to that argument 100%.
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe,
They're that good.
maybe they're better than Fedorov ever was. Maybe. But does the 2 players, does 2 future Hall of Famers really make up for the fact that there was 5 on that team?
Their issue's been filling out the rest of the lineup.
Bingo.
Their issue's been Chris Draper. Their issue's been Kurt Maltby.
Joe Kosher,
Yes. Like that's been the
Darren
the issue
McCarty,
with these
Thomas
guys.
Sandstrom.
Darren McCarty scored a Stanley Cup winning goal. I'm pretty sure he scored both goals in a 2-1 win.
Oh, by the way, I forgot Larry Murphy was on that team as well. There's 6 Hall of Famers,
Oh.
7 Hall of Famers.
You could have not mentioned that one. That would
I know that
would have been
Leafs
nice
gave him
if
up.
you didn't mention that one.
I hate that.
That would have been nice.
I'm just saying, it's one of those things where like I want, and listen, this is coming from a Leaf fan who is extremely upset, although getting over what happened last season too. I understand where we stand on this. You don't need to make it about the Leafs. What I'm saying is I don't, and Jesse may have the most salient point that has ever been spoken on this podcast. Ken Holland seems to be living in the Detroit years.
Was that me or you who said that?
Let's both take credit for it.
Did you take it?
I thought I.
Oh, you did.
I mean, we
We
shared
both
it.
kind of
You know,
said
I
similar
feel like
things.
Jesse telekinetically gave that to you. Is that fair?
I think he out loud gave it to me, and you weren't listening.
Hey, before we get into our way too early predictions, I have one quick conspiracy theory. You ready?
Vaccines are no.
Nope.
Nicki Minaj?
Nope.
Nope. Balls.
Balls. Speaking of balls. No, not yet. Tom Dundon for sure watches Sportsnet.
Why is that?
I'm listening.
Tom Dundon watches Sportsnet. Tom Dundon watched Free Agent Frenzy on Sportsnet. That's my theory. Or Don Waddell did.
I'm going to tell you something. 100% all the GMs do.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
They've got both of them on. They've got because there's no Free Agent Frenzy in the States. They're not like, hey, it's July 1st. You know what that means? It's like, no, it's just another day.
But like Saturday night hockey, I guarantee they're watching that.
Yeah.
Wednesday night, they're
Oh, yeah.
watching that. I guarantee they see everything that's written about. What's your quote about they know where the periods are?
They know where the commas are.
They know where the commas. I guarantee
Steve Simmons.
every GM knows that.
Maybe the most prescient thing that Steve Simmons has ever said.
Yeah.
It's Wolf Blitzer in the middle of something on CNN, and they cut him off. Riley Sheehan has signed a 1-year contract with the I don't even know who he's with right now. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, he was with the Oilers.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm fairly sure Tom Dundon watches Sportsnet because there was a take of all takes that largely flew under the radar during Free Agent Frenzy on Sportsnet this year.
He said Merrick knows nothing about wrestling.
What?
That's
Steve
sounds
said
the
it.
take.
They
Yeah.
gave Steve 45 seconds.
No.
And the 45 seconds they gave to Steve said, Jeff Merrick knows nothing. And here's Nick Kiprio's impression.
That was your only TV time.
Also balls. Now,
we now go live to the guys who can skate.
So the take of all takes from Free Agent Frenzy, and nobody made more of this, and nobody on the panel challenged him on this, which drives me bananas because, no offense, Steve, nobody on Sportsnet challenges anybody else on Sportsnet.
Where are we going?
I didn't see it.
I'm saying it. I'm saying it. Stop it. Mike Futa, after Dougie Hamilton signed his contract, said, I'm not really that much of a fan.
I do remember this.
Mike Futa's not a fan of Dougie Hamilton.
Mike Futa, he's a little, he I don't know if he said overrated, but he was like hinting at it. And it is one of the most like, I was like, I yelled out at my TV. And my girlfriend Natalie's like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" Like, I was by myself. I was at the cottage and watching this, and it's like you could do better things with your time. You know that, right? It's possible. And I just found it funny that after the Dougie Hamilton thing happened, and after he said that, he just happens to be the AGM senior advisor or whatever he's doing there now. I think he's brought on as a senior consultant for the Carolina Hurricanes.
Teams like to bring on like-minded people. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Now,
I think that's very interesting.
Let me say this. Mike Futa's got a pretty damn good pedigree, so I'm not dissing Mike Futa at all. Although, and we're all entitled, this is the fun thing about hockey, is we're all allowed to look at players differently. I would love to know what he's looking at. Because everything I've seen from Dougie Hamilton, from everybody else, is he's pretty great.
You just reminded me of something. Back in the dark days of the Leafs.
Okay.
I think it was it was either 14 or 15.
Okay.
I was writing at LeafsNation.com with a writer named Cam Sharon, who there was one summer the Leafs did several things. And after years of disagreeing with almost every move they made, he was like, you know what? The Leafs did this. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Leafs did this. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Here's why. And he posted evidence. And he goes, I think the Leafs are turning a corner here. And I'm pretty sure they hired him within the month.
No way.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think it was the last thing he ever wrote for them.
I honestly, like, that happens, I think, more than we think. Like, I remember Mike Keenan was randomly on a Sportsnet trade deadline or something like that. I'm like, Mike Keenan's looking for a gig. I don't think Mike Keenan's getting back into the NHL, but I think Mike Keenan would want to.
They're out there, man.
And think about what Pierre Maguire was at TSN. How many times did Bob McKenzie report, and Pierre Maguire, my colleague, is under consideration for being hired as a GM? And he wasn't lying. He absolutely was under consideration for many, many teams as their GM over the years. Absolutely.
It's amazing. If your content is good enough, you will get hired.
Yeah.
It happened to Rachel Dory. It happened to Tyler Dello.
Right.
Happened to half of the Canucks Army writers ever.
Justin Bourne, Cam Sharon.
Yeah, Justin Bourne is
he is also
such an interesting
a hockey
hybrid,
player,
right?
What's the not cap friendly? The one before that, Vegas took it.
Oh, General Fanager.
Tom.
Tom. That's his name? Yeah.
Pashka, yeah.
Tom, yeah. He got hired.
It's been a while since we've had him on, but yeah, Tom.
Yeah,
yeah, it's true. Mm-hmm. Like there was a lot of really smart people writing, and I just thought that was interesting. I'm like, that is an interesting connection. That take stood out to me, and it's very clear to me that when it comes to Dougie Hamilton, Carolina saw. It's not that they didn't value him, but they did see him as a $6.7 million defenseman. They did not see him at the $7 or $8 million it would have probably taken to keep him there. And again, that's the fun about hockey, is we can all look at people differently. I'm not coming on our show and going, well, Mike Futa's an idiot. But I am saying that is a take that I vehemently disagree with. I would love to know more.
I think with hockey guys, there's an air of Dougie Hamilton's big for nothing. One of my favorite terms. Like he's this big body defenseman, and but he doesn't do anything with it. He's gifted offensively and blah blah blah. Really great metrics. I'm not saying this is my opinion. I'm saying I believe this is the perception.
I'd be curious what people people who follow the Canes every day, like Sarah Sivian, would say. Where what Futa I think said at the time, to be fair to him, was he said, I think he benefited a lot from playing with Jacob Slavin, which I think anybody would. He's Jacob Slavin.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that Dougie Hamilton was a great player in Boston and a great player in Calgary, but wasn't a culture fit because he liked museums. So, I am curious about what happens in New Jersey now and what this guy ends up being, because New Jersey objectively is not great on defense.
What a weird team.
Weird.
Every year they do something, and a lot of it seems pretty good, and just nothing adds up.
It makes me wish that when we had back when Puck Talks existed, that I could remember anything that Tyler Dellow said, not because it wasn't memorable, but it's because I actually have a physically bad memory. I'm terrible at it. Well, and because now it's that what he was saying at that point and writing for The Athletic at that point, and before that, I believe Pension Plan Puppets, is the mantra that got him hired in New Jersey, right? It's the stuff. It's part of the reason they're making the moves they're making.
He told two funny stories. One was, I think it was one of his first days with the Oilers. He accidentally locked himself in a bathroom stall, and there was another one where he had to track something for them, and he was up in the stands, and it was really fast paced. And Dallas Eakins is just over his shoulder back when he was the head coach, and he's like, "It's a little harder without the replay button, eh?" Which is true, man. It's true.
Really funny.
That's funny. I like that.
When he told me that story, he told the room that story, it stopped me in my tracks. I was like, that is really interesting, because we're always like, how did you miss that? I don't know, man. The same way you missed it on your couch when there wasn't replay. You ever been at a game live? That's how. I was at an Olympic game where Shea Weber scored a goal that no one caught because it went through the net.
Wow.
Yeah. I've told the story 1,000 times. They paused play, and none of us knew why, except like the one guy in our section who had Twitter, because it was 2010.
One of the ideas that I've always had that I'd love to do for this channel, because like I said, there's things happening here, but one of the things I'd like to do is go on a granular level. I don't even know how I do this because I don't have any connections in the NHL, but I want to do a series called "I Blocked a Shea Weber Slap Shot," and then do another one called "I Blocked an Alexander Ovechkin Slap Shot," or Grant, I took a hit from Chris Bronner,
the hardest
on open ice hit,
the hardest shot I ever faced, like by a goalie, Like,
yeah.
I remember Ben Scrivens posting on Twitter this gruesome bruise.
Oh.
And I can't imagine, because the first time I ever wore hockey equipment was this past winter when I was doing that thing with David Ayers, the goalie
like the goalie equipment, yeah.
Goalie equipment, not hockey equipment.
Sorry, yeah, goalie equipment. And I remember just waddling around Jeff Merrick's backyard laughing because
it's goofy.
Immortal. I was immortal. I felt like that mission in GTA 5, you'll learn, where they're all in their crazy. They basically put on like an Iron Man suit.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm immortal. Nothing could hurt me ever.
It's like those Call of Duty suits where that you have to like that you could fire a whole clip into these guys and they don't die.
Yeah. And he was bruised through that.
Wow.
Because you look at goalies when they're in their street clothes, and that some of them are like thin dudes, and they're like super flexible, skinny guys. Yeah,
most of them. Freddie Anderson's like a unicorn these days,
right?
Yeah.
And then they throw on this suit, and all of a sudden they're these Michelin men.
Yeah, Ryan Miller and all of them. They're all skinny. They're all skinny dudes.
Well, you got to be, right? You got to move.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I was thinking about your Dougie Hamilton point about he's a big dude who doesn't really use it. And I was thinking, okay, like Victor Hedman is 6'5", 6'6". But
he's even taller than that.
He's even taller than that. They're 6'7". I don't know. So but he doesn't play like that. He doesn't play like a giant dude on the ice because his offensive skill, it overlaps anything he would do with his body that would take away from being on the offensive end, being able to do that. You don't think of Victor Hedman and be like, okay, he throws his weight around and that sort of stuff. He's great defensively, obviously, great offensively, but that's where his talents lie.
He's big in not a throws his weight around way, in a stands his ground way, which is also important in front of the net. And I'd be curious to know how Dougie Hamilton is thought of in that regard, because if you're trying to get room in front of the net, if you're trying to get the puck in the corner, you're going to have a problem if Victor Hedman's there.
Right.
Is he going to light you up? No, probably not. But you can't move him. He's one of the biggest players in the league and has been for a decade.
Yeah, and the way Victor Hedman plays, it translates to the playoffs. So I wonder if Carolina looks at Dougie Hamilton, they say, okay, he doesn't make up for his lack of throwing the body around with the offensive skill like Victor Hedman does. He doesn't stand his ground like Hedman does with his. So maybe he's this great defenseman, he's a great player, but he's not built for us to go deep in the playoffs because he doesn't utilize that size that he has enough to play playoff hockey.
Similarly, I would love to be a fly on the wall for the league conversations, like just front offices around the league. Their conversations about Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
I would love it.
What, the blue letters and how bad they are?
What are they doing? What are they doing?
This is what happens when you have non-designers design jerseys.
Oh, what are they? Did they
the
last
blue pants
year
and the
was
blue
what are they doing? And now it's what are you doing? The remix. Anyway, but
Yeah, by the way, if you're an Avs fan, don't buy one of those jerseys and then they'll go back to the original. Send a message. Please don't let them do this. They're falling down the jersey charts. They're going to be up there with Dallas soon. All right, you don't want that. Sorry, Dallas.
So anyway, they always lose in the second round.
Yep.
Like the Leafs do in the first.
Yep.
And I wonder if after this past season, after the unbelievable season they had, I wonder if those conversations are starting to happen about them as a team and players individually.
Can this guy play this type of hockey in June?
Yes.
Can I make you guys angry for a second?
Okay.
Name how much money Victor Hedman makes.
Oh,
He's like 6.8 or something stupid.
I think I'm going to say 7.5.
Steve is closer, 7.875. Upsetting. If you're not upset by that and you're listening to this, there's something wrong with you too.
You could make an argument that he's the best player in the NHL.
Oh, I think you make that argument for sure.
Like easily.
Yeah.
With what he does in the playoffs. You make that argument.
And what
Year
he does
in, year out.
injured in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Victor Hedman's always fighting some injury. It's like, well, this is any other time of the year he'd be sitting out 30 games, but this time, and he's still effective. How?
Shows you how bad concussions are. Because
yeah.
that's what took him out before the Columbus series. And then Bubble and this past year, it's not like he wasn't banged up or injured, but won 2 cups.
What is 7.8 you said?
7.875.
Oh, geez.
Because he needed the extra 5. Or they couldn't give him 7.89 because the Lightning needed to save the extra $5,000 to sign somebody else.
What did Braden Point just sign for?
Oh, I think wasn't it $6 million? Or was that his original?
League min.
Yeah.
6.75, and then he's going next year. The extension will be 9.5.
I can't sleep at night.
He's a centerman.
Fix the salary cap. Those numbers aren't real. Like that's
That's
not the way it should work. If it's an open market, these guys aren't getting these numbers.
Right.
They're being grossly underpaid because of this stupid salary.
Grossly underpaid, and they lost their entire third line. That's how over the cap they were.
It's insane. It's crazy. I forgot that Blake Coleman is a Calgary Flame, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Me too. There's a team
Yeah.
that's slowly building to, I don't know if they're going to get in, but if they do, look out. They're slowly building
another
to that.
team with, funnily enough, that whenever I bring, when you think of the Tkachuk brothers, whenever I think of a team that if it got in would be a pain in the ass would be the Senators. And they offered, I believe the report was earlier this week, 8 times 8 for Brady Tkachuk.
Yeah,
And apparently he turned it down. Now, my question is probably he's not turning that down because he's got a problem with $8 million. My bet he's turning that down is that he doesn't want to commit to 8 years. Not because of anything bad about Ottawa, but because he might say, well, my style, much like Tom Wilson and my brother, is basically gone in the game. So it makes it more valuable. Right? There aren't a lot of Brady Tkachuk style players. And if the league continues to go skill, small or whatever, Brady Tkachuk is going to be, along with his brother, one of the most valuable players in the league, not based on the points he puts up.
it's a fascinating contract because you're right. He's that, but he's such a premium version of that.
Yes.
He's huge. He's young. He's got all this upside. He can score goals. What I have a problem with is he's a winger, and boy, that's a lot of money. Yes, I know, Mitch Marner. Shut up. Yes, shut up. Shut up. We don't have to bring him up every time.
Yeah, leave the man alone.
Okay, what is the constant conversation? That it's a bit of a cumbersome contract, right? Okay, that's why I'm bringing it up. I hear you.
Stop pre-arguing with yourself.
I hear you through the camera.
This one.
I hear you. All of you.
Do it again. No.
Do what again? Tell the truth.
I hear you through the camera.
I hear you through the camera. Clickety-clacking away. All right? I already know what you're going to say.
And on Monday Night Raw.
Let me tell you something. Because he's this big bad player right here. And he crashes the net and he knows how to, he gives you the little face wash, right? Yeah, L'Oreal. Right in front of the net there. But if he thinks that he's worth 8 times 8, you got another thing coming.
Man. Woo!
I can't even freaking
I don't know who's more exhausted, you doing the impression or us laughing at it.
I'm
It's a
so
lot.
tired. How did he do that as actually that person?
What did you think? And for years, by the way. For years.
For years.
And years and years. He did that for years.
You ever hear him on Arsenio Hall?
No, I should watch that.
Arsenio,
Macho Man?
Randy said,
Yeah.
yes. He asked him if he cries. And his answer is great. That's your homework.
Okay, well, check it out.
Does Macho Man cry?
You finally watched, and this was your homework, so if you didn't do it, you're in trouble. Danbury Trashers. You watched the documentary. I believe it's called Untold, Crime and Penalties.
Yes, I'm sorry I missed the watch party on our Discord.
Oh, I didn't know there was one either. I'm sorry about that, too. The other thing is the Discord is its own thing now, and I don't... People are like, hey, did you know that... No, I didn't know that was happening. So
5,000 people.
Yeah, there's now 5,000 people on it, so let's keep it going
It's out of our control.
Because it's pretty spectacular. But yeah, there's like a whole bunch of stuff happening. I'm like, I can't make any of that, but you guys, that's amazing.
I feel
That's
like
great.
Dr. Frankenstein. Rise!
Yeah, we don't control that.
Yeah, and then it kills us.
This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. You can check out betterhelp.com/SDP. Now, life is full of stressors. We know that. It can be your family. It can be your job. It could be your partner and what's going on in their life. And you might have no control over it. If you're feeling a little down and out or depressed, maybe like you're like a total loss. Maybe your stress is high. Maybe your temper's shorter than usual. It could be anything. Unload your stress, get it out, and talk to someone with a completely unbiased view about your life. Someone who isn't going to judge you or take sides on anything. They just want to help. And when there are things that you can't tell anyone, BetterHelp is the place to go. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't even have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. Unload the stressors and get some unbiased feedback that you'd be pretty surprised, actually, what you can gain from this. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Steve Dangle Podcast listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/SDP. That's BetterHelp.com/SDP. Doesn't it feel good to feel good? Like when you feel good, when you look good, it feels good. You remember that night for a long, long time. And the thing is that like the world's opening back up. We're going to have to get out again to emerge from our caves. And I know I'm coming to you from the basement of my house, but seriously, that's what we're looking at here. I can't just wear these ratty old t-shirts anymore. That's why I think you should check out Indochino.com. Because right now, you can get $50 off any purchase of $399 or more using the code SDP at checkout. And again, Indochino is special because we're talking about custom-fitted suits, shirts, casual wear, and a lot more at very low prices. Like I said, you can get a suit for $399 with $50 off. That's not bad, right? Just use that promo code SDP. And when you think about this, you can actually customize every single detail. So if you are very particular, like my friend Jesse Blake is, when he puts our jerseys together, you do things like the fabric, the lapel, the monogram, statement linings. You could create the suit that fits you. And if you're like me and you got the hockey legs and a big bum, it's really hard. And I'm being honest about this. It's hard for me to shop for a suit. And with Indochino, it's easy. Because I just send them my measurements, and they're not like, hey, you're a large, or hey, you're a medium. It's, hey, you're the size that you are. Let's make you a suit that looks great on you. And that's why you need to check out Indochino.com. They're also available around the country in Nordstrom stores, so you can kind of look them up at Indochino.com, find out which Nordstrom store if you prefer in-store shopping. But if you want to do it online, Indochino.com. That's INDOCHINO.com. Promo code SDP for $50 off with a $399 order.
You know, it's been a long, tough couple of years, hasn't it? You deserve some rest. You deserve some relaxation. You deserve comfort. Fall into comfort and make it a top priority this season. And who's more of an expert about that than Brooklinen? It's time to save big and invest in your comfort during Brooklinen's Labor Day sale. It's happening now. Brooklinen makes beautiful, high-quality bedding and everything you need to make a house a home. Brooklinen makes bedding for every kind of sleeper, whether you sleep hot like I do or cold like my girlfriend does or somewhere in the middle. They got you covered. And it doesn't stop there. If your bedroom is all set, make every day a spa day with a choice selection of excellent absorbent towels available in a number of colors. Brooklinen has over 80,000 five-star reviews and counting, and there's a reason for that. Freshen up your fall with Brooklinen and your one-stop shop for comfort. You can shop the Labor Day savings event now for savings on all things comfort. And if you can't decide right now, you can invest your comfort with the promo code SDP anytime. That's brooklinen.com, promo code SDP for $20 off. Check it out. brooklinen.com, promo code SDP. There's a lot of reasons why you might be losing sleep. Is it the fact that there's an election in Canada right now? Or if you're in the States, is it the fact that you just got over an election and that was pretty exhausting? Is it the pandemic? Is it your love life? Is it drama that you just can't control? Whatever it is, trust me, I've been there. I know what it's like not to get a great sleep. We know what it's like not to get a great sleep. And Helix wants to help you out with that. So Helix is really interesting because they've got a quiz. It takes 2 minutes to complete, and it matches your body type and sleep preferences to the perfect mattress for you. So, why would you buy a mattress for somebody else that's made for somebody else? With Helix, you're going to get a mattress that you know will be perfect for the way you sleep. Everybody's unique, and Helix knows that. So they have several different mattress models for you to choose from. Soft, medium, firm mattresses that are great for cooling you down, which is something I need because I'm a sweaty boy. And Helix Plus for people who are plus-size sleepers. I took the Helix quiz. I was matched with a mattress that, like I told you, helped me cool down. And I sleep on my face. I know that's really bad for you. And if you're a chiropractor and you're listening, I'm sorry. But that's just how I get my best sleep. And Helix matched me with a mattress that helps me with that. It's been awesome seeing all the unboxing Helix videos too. You should check out some of those online. If you're looking for a mattress, just go to helixsleep.com/SDP. Take their 2-minute sleep quiz. It's super easy, and they're going to match you with the mattress for you so that you can get the best sleep of your life. And Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders, plus 2 free pillows for our listeners at helixsleep.com/SDP. That's helixsleep.com/SDP for up to $200 off and 2 free pillows.
So here's the thing. If you haven't seen it, you might want to fast forward because you got to see this documentary. It's unbelievable. But we've got 20 minutes on it now, maybe as short as 15 because we got to get through this stuff quickly. What did you think about this documentary? A trash company owning a company owning a hockey team and calling them the Trashers.
There are just, spoiler alert, by the way. If you haven't watched it,
I just said it. Spoiler alert.
It's too late. But the parallels with The Sopranos are so evident. And what's amazing is it's a good documentary because I've thought about it since I've watched it.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And what I've thought about is they didn't ham it up enough. First of all, the real life Tony Soprano has a son named AJ. That's his kid in the show.
Yeah.
I didn't even...
They said that.
Oh, they did?
Yes,
They did
yes.
say
They,
that.
I think off the first 5 minutes.
Oh, even his show... Yes,
yeah,
you're right.
When they're
They did do
setting
that.
up the whole doc, they mention the AJ connection.
So they did do that. But what also caught me right away, and it was brilliant putting it as early in the doc as they did, this child... AJ, who was 2 years older than Adam and I, by the way.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, wait. So he was 17 years old in 2004. Wait a sec. We would have went to high school with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's your era.
I remember some of the clothes he was wearing. Like kids in our school had it.
Well, and Jesse, my era, I can only imagine how excited I would have been if The Rock and all of D-Generation X showed up at my birthday.
And China. Don't forget China was there.
She was part of DX.
Oh, well, yes.
This kid had The Rock, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, China, the badass Billy Gunn. I don't think Road Dogg was there.
No.
Or X-Pac.
I didn't see
Shawn
Road
Michaels wasn't in DJ.
Yes.
Oh, you're right. Shawn
was-
Michaels wasn't there either.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
No, Shawn Michaels was there.
Was he there?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed him.
Shawn
I
Michaels
want to
is
say he was there.
always my favorite. I love Shawn Michaels.
This kid had them at his birthday party.
Unbelievable.
Where was that interview? Where was the Rock or Triple H or Billy Gunn? Hey, how did you come to be at this child's birthday party in Connecticut?
Yeah, I wanna know. I want them to ask The Rock today.
I want the Rock's perspective on that.
to see if he remembers.
The Rock, who one day may run for president, why you were at this mob boss's son's birthday party. I want to know.
Well, it's because they're willing to pay a lot of money for it, right?
I
guess.
believe WWE headquarters is in Connecticut. So if
you know
it's-
what? You're right.
If it's in the same state, 100% James has connections with whoever's over there at WWE, gets them over. You know, here's a envelope full of cash under the table.
You were absolutely right.
or not, right? He could always just say, well,
Yeah,
Like
you owe me
all of
one.
them- all of them just heard heavy breathing over the phone, and they're like, "We'll be there at 8."
Yeah.
What's his? It's not. Is it? It's not James. Is it? What's his actual?
Jimmy Galante.
Jimmy Galante. You saw his eyes.
Oh, it's so
Like
funny.
all
that
he would
we
have.
had.
To, like I know Vince McMahon's an intense man, but Jimmy Galante staring down Vince McMahon. I think Jimmy's winning.
That conversation we had last show about the stare. Oh, he's got it.
Oh yeah.
That's a terrifying man. That's a very scary man. The equipment manager. You're right.
The equipment manager.
Hilarious.
He is out of a movie.
Yes.
Like, he embodies a character in his everyday life.
And he was on Brent Wallace and Mark Mathot's podcast, smoking the cigar and telling other stories about how he would check into the same hotel as the visiting team, pull the fire alarm at 3 a.m. He'd cut 2 feet off the visiting bench.
I love the fact he used to, shutting off the hot water in the dressing room, giving them 6 towels for the whole team.
Oh.
Like just insane stuff. Like really get in your head sort of stuff. I loved it.
And
absolutely loved it.
What I would have liked as a hockey nerd, so they made this documentary so that everyone can enjoy it. Mm-hmm. And I mean, for them, or what I think for most people, the documentary is about the fact that a crime boss's 17-year-old son ran a hockey team. Mm-hmm. For me, I'm like, tell me more about the hockey team. So I went through and looked at their roster from this season. And I couldn't believe it. They didn't spend enough time on it.
No, they didn't. You know why, though?
It's not a hockey doc for you.
Yeah, Steve,
for me.
Well, yeah. If it was, it'd be sponsored by Hockey DB and
because you're like, oh, the NHL player. I had this guy's hockey card.
Roman Inder.
I was halfway through the doc, and I'm like, which one? There's Brent Gretzky played in the NHL.
Yeah.
Roman Nador did.
Mike Rupp.
But Mike Rupp. Who else? There's a few though. There were more. As I was looking through the roster, 2 names stood out to me immediately that I couldn't believe weren't included in the doc. Everyone right now, stop what you're doing and look up Stephen Pete versus PJ Stock. It is one of the wildest. We obviously can't show the footage on our show, but I want Adam's live reaction to Stephen Pete versus PJ Stock, one of the wildest fights
Fight
you'll
of the
ever
year,
see.
2002 is what this is what the
Right. So he played in the NHL.
Okay.
Stephen Pete.
Okay. So PJ Stock is mixing it up with Chris Simon.
Here it is.
Known for smoking darts between periods, Chris Simon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Jesse's got it up too.
Okay.
You won't believe it.
Okay.
It's one of the craziest fights I've ever seen.
Waiting. Okay, it's right off a face-off here, and it looks like somebody's going to drop
But
something.
another guy who played in the show, like they had all these enforcers.
Here we go. Okay. So the camera hasn't got to it yet. Okay, so I'm watching.
How long is this clip? Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Boom, boom, boom,
Whoa.
boom, boom. Look at that.
Stock is really giving it to him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
By the
Wow.
way, I
And
worked
PJ
with him.
Stock's
He
like a
has
foot-
the eyes.
PJ Stock is like a foot smaller, but boy, he's wow.
But look at Pete. That guy was on the Trashers.
Wow. You know,
Stephen P was?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was on the Trashers, and so was, and I've brought him up on this podcast so many times, Nasty John Morasti. One of the most infamous minor league enforcers of all time. Of all time. You want me to read off his career penalty minutes?
yeah.
I'm just going to say
Yeah.
that if this was in the doc, a lot of people would have turned it off.
Yeah, I think so.
The
too.
footage of that fight?
I mean, they could have shown a little bit more of that, like Steve and Pete, Jet Nasty. Like they could have done here are some other guys other than because they were focused on, was it Wingham or Wingham?
They're focused on the 5 guys that they got to do the interviews.
Well, that's what I'm
Who were on
saying.
the
Like,
team,
I
you
wish
know?
I could have heard from the other guys. No, it was Wingfield. And Wingfield,
Who,
where
by
is
the
he?
way,
I lost him. There he
looked-
is. 289. Oh no, sorry. This is Roman Nador. 289 penalty minutes in 46 games. Wingfield had 176 in 20. But
wow.
John Morasti, look up John Morasti versus Stefan Bosse. That's Jeff Merrick came on our podcast years and years ago. Or this might have even been back when I did that student radio show with Justin Fisher.
Wow.
And that's how good Jeff is. He went on that show. John Morasti versus Stefan Bosse, he called the greatest hockey fight of all time. And John Morasti was also one of the players who was at a wedding in Russia and had to fight the wedding. I've told this story before. That video's out there. Him and Yablonsky, I can't remember his first name, they were teammates, I think, on Vitas Chekhov, another team that was owned allegedly by organized crime. And they were
Vitas was known for only employing fighting.
Only fighting.
There were no goal scorers.
And the video is of them at this wedding. They could have included this in the documentary. The video is of them at the wedding trying to diffuse a situation, but they only know English. So they don't know how to... and the guy, Yablonsky's going, MMA. He's trying to tell them, like, I've fought mixed martial arts. Like, sanctioned fights. This guy... And they dropped the whole wedding. And these are names that, like, aren't even mentioned in the documentary.
Wow.
And so this kid, when you said he's you, like he's my dream.
You.
I know. He's
Steve.
me. So he's living his dream by having DX show up at the birthday party. This dude went on Google and was like, all right, who are the penalty minutes leaders of every league?
Yeah. They show him in the doc. He was talking about that, just looking up fights and
Goal
picking
scorers
guys.
and fighters.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
For a 17-year-old, he did a great job building a hockey team.
They went to the finals.
They lost. They were 48, 17, and 11. That's pretty damn
How many
good.
guys had
Wow.
over 100 penalty minutes?
Oh, gosh. 1, 2.
No, organized. There you go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 guys.
The owner gives you that look and says, fight off the opening face-off, the inaugural moment of your franchise. You got to do it.
I love that phone. Like, and the boss is calling, drop him. And I man, when you see him floating around out there like he's gonna fight, does he not look like
a shark?
He looks like a shark or a tank.
Oh, yeah.
A tank just looking for something to shoot at. He's huge.
If I met him, like, just in public, just his face and his jaw, I'd be like, hey, so you kick people's asses. Like, that's that. You'd find my skeleton next to his and be like, this one ate that one. That's who he is.
What do you guys think of the commissioner?
Oh,
What a weasel.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, because my first thought, I was like, this guy, you're fucking weasel.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, why do you think he's a weasel? I'm interested.
Well, he's just a killjoy of all things. You're not going to make a mockery of what the UHL. Shut up. We have a sold out building in Danbury, Connecticut.
But then
you shut up and grovel at my feet.
In the end, when he sees, fucking $signs in my eyes, now I'm okay with it.
Now I sit with Section 102.
now I'm with the fans, like, come on, you can't. Either you're the hard-nosed commissioner who hates this fighting, or you're supporting this because it's bringing so much attention to your league when the major league is canceled.
No,
like,
I love
pick a side. Stop flip-flopping.
You lost the ability to say anything when the guy bought a team for his child.
Yeah.
And you simply allowed it.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. But President GM.
You won't be
no
making
problem.
a mockery of my game, though. I tell you.
But your son can have a team. What?
So here's
You're
the other
the worst
thing.
character. Fucking hated him.
What I loved about that, and this goes back to the equipment manager. I forget his name, but he said to get the sunglasses.
Jimmy
and the
T or
Jimmy T.
T-Bone.
T-Bone or whatever. Yeah. So this guy. So imagine this guy walks into a meeting with the Galantes and T-Bone. And whoever else is there, you know, the guy they just randomly show working out who was like talking all that shit on the phone, like, and this guy, Commissioner Thumb, walks in and he's like, "Can you imagine what?" And
who's retired right now in Boca Raton,
Yeah.
just living it up.
Listen, good for, and he's with his Pomeranian, and so he walks in and he's like, "Guys, you can't do this," and I love the cut to T-Bone. He's like, yeah, we knew he was in trouble then. Like, you know what I mean? Like he didn't stand a chance.
He was a minnow in a Shark Tank.
That's what it was.
Minnow in a Shark
And-
Tank.
He thinks we can't do this?
He had
We're
no
going to
idea.
do this.
He had no idea.
I just and what I loved about that the most. Usually these documentaries end dark. They end dark, right? They end at like
Well, he went to jail.
he went to jail. That was dark
For like a decade.
for a decade, and like
Missed all of his kids' stuff.
100%. But they did make an effort to not, and I really appreciated this, not poo-poo the idea that this was something special. Despite the wackiness of it, they took seriously the fan perspective with especially the Section 102 thing. Because what all too often happens is, you know, Hollywood and documentary films and drama films, whatever, they tend to rip on blue-collar people and what blue-collar people like. They tend to marginalize or make fun of or pass off. They're just a bunch of barbarians, bunch of low-income. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's how they don't say it, but they come out and say it in the actions.
Danbury.
Yeah.
Connecticut.
Yeah.
No, that's such a good point.
And what they didn't trivialize these people. They had fans on who still have the jerseys, who were pissed off when the team was closed down, and who absolutely still die for this team. And they really celebrated that at the end. And I love that. And what I love about that is, I think Mr. Galante Sr. Is not, he says it. He's like, I'm not an angel. And I don't think that the film actively tries to portray him as that.
No, he burned a truck and we saw it.
Yeah.
They showed that.
Or allegedly.
I think he did time for that.
I don't know. But
they showed it in the film.
There definitely was a burning truck shown in the film. My thing is, they celebrated the fact that something special did happen for a group of people.
Yeah. That reunion at the end.
That was really
where you
special.
saw it.
And then him reuniting with Jimmy, Wingham, or no, what is his name? Wingfield and Jimmy Galante.
When he surprised him on camera.
Yeah.
Oh, tears.
That was really sweet.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think I just found that whole part of it, the way they ended it, to me was such a departure from where I thought it was going.
Right.
And I loved that.
They showed how sports can bring a community together.
Yeah.
Especially hockey, when you get this team in this city, Danbury, they're not a pro sports city.
No, they're
they have
not.
nothing, and they get this team and they're cheering for it, and it really meant a lot. And it was great to see that.
And for those fans, it could be for some of them the second time their hockey team left them, too, because the Whalers.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The Whalers had
Connected.
left just a few years prior, and all right, we got this team, and they kick fucking ass, and they're in first place, and they go all the way to the final, and we got this section where we tell the commissioner to fuck himself, and it's so much fun, and it's gone after a year.
2. I think they had 2 seasons.
Oh, 2 years.
yeah,
Oh,
2
it was 2.
But even so, sad.
Mike Rupp.
I know, and Mike Rupp's there.
Yeah.
Weird.
The score. It was so unfair to see the NHL guys hit the ice, and I'm like, they're dancing around these guys. You have a professional athlete out there with just plugs.
They had like at least 6 players who played like at least a few games in the NHL. But Mike Rupp, the backhand dangle that he did, I'm like, the chasm between UHL and NHL.
Crazy.
You're playing shinny right now.
He's joking around, and I loved the. Mike, I remember you from the Trashers, man. That was awesome. He's like, I scored a Stanley Cup winning goal with the New Jersey
The
Devils.
stadium's down the street.
Yeah. Like he scored a goal with Paul Correa on the ice facing him down.
And they're like, Trashers?
Against J.S. Jaguar.
Yeah.
At his best.
Babcock coaching.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. It's pretty nuts.
He won a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, it's nuts. And I don't know. It was such a. There was such a good feeling at the end of it. And I think to me, it was like, life isn't perfect and things can be a bit murky and a bit gray area-y, which, arguably this is the case, but there's still great things that could come out of it. And I just loved it. I just start to finish, great 90 minutes of wall-to-wall entertainment.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? The way they set it up at the beginning is, this AJ kid, I'm going to hate him. And he's going to be a total dick.
And he's such a great guy.
He seems like it.
And he's got his own boxing gym and he's working hard. And it's
I'm sure he's had a leg up that.
No, he said
not
that's
most people have.
I don't know, man.
I think he's had a little bit of an advantage here. His dad bought him a
hockey team. Like,
let's not.
But like, I was expecting him to be a complete prick, and the players are going to be like, "Oh, this guy's a nightmare," and they all loved them.
Yeah.
They all love them.
There's a reason everybody wants to work for Jimmy. There's a reason so many people are
Cash.
on his money.
I love that, by the way. They're like, oh, by the way, there's like a little bit of fraud.
I work for so many companies.
I work.
And they're just getting boxes of money. But
he has a way with people.
Yes, I was bummed that Brent Gretzky wouldn't agree to talk. And I'm only assuming that he wouldn't agree because no offense to Brent Gretzky, but that might be the greatest thing that he's ever been a part of.
The signing.
We got to get Gretzky. And when he said that, I'm like, what? Because I already know Gretzky didn't play for them.
Yeah.
And they go and they get Brent Gretzky for the brand recognition. That's so smart.
He's 17. He's a genius.
This is what I'm saying, right? He's not a dumb kid. He's really smart.
Oh my God, that was really smart.
And imagine, what were you at 17? This guy's in front of a podium in front of the local media talking. And then he's on ESPN promoting it.
And he found out about it walking through the halls of his high school. Like, imagine that day. Imagine that morning for him.
Him being a boxing promoter today makes so much
perfect.
sense. I'm like, oh yeah, you found your lane.
It's perfect.
Yeah. But
he gets entertainment. He gets it.
Put on a show.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they did. And that whole documentary was, I think it'd be really funny. And I did love that, by the way, when there was that fight and it's like, and then the feed cut out. They had an online feed and then it cut out
the TV station.
Yeah.
They did that so brilliantly because I went, no! Because like they're building to this and then they cut it and I go, no! And then, but I had my camcorder. I'm like, yeah! And I show it. I'm like, kick his ass! It flies in the face of so many of the fighting conversations that we've had. Right?
Yes. Listen, we can't sit here and deny that we haven't stood up and cheered for a fight.
Come on. Yeah.
But the amount of concussions that happened on that ice.
Oh, my dear Lord.
Listen,
what happened that broke his ankle was a chicken shit move.
It was.
Yeah, and
That's
but then you
chicken
come
shit
out,
move.
and then the next time when he recovers from the injury, and then the other guy's on the ice, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna assault you, like I'm gonna have legal assault on this man, and everybody
fine.
knows.
And then the
it.
owner's going to punch a ref.
That's a little fucked up. Like, are we not? Can we acknowledge that it's kind of fucked up that a man just gets to punch another man off the ice, and this man can legally assault this other guy?
We've acknowledged it. I'm not saying though. Listen, there are a lot of problems with fighting. We've talked about them at length. That there's a reason it exists. It has existed for so long. If it wasn't entertaining, it wouldn't exist.
Sure. And there was a lesson. There was a lesson in that moment, though, Adam. Do your research and watch your mouth.
Yeah.
That ref doesn't know who the fuck he's talking to. That you don't know who the owner of that team is. You told him to fuck himself. It's not weird you got punched in the face.
You don't tell Jimmy to fuck himself.
You don't tell him to fuck
So just takes a big drag on the cigar.
That's the correct take, though.
Yeah.
You don't tell Jimmy to fuck himself.
Oh my
You don't read the
God.
newspaper? You don't know who this person is?
Who is the owner most likely to punch a ref in the face?
Right now?
Owner in the National Hockey League.
Jeremy Jacobs.
Yeah.
You tell Jeremy Jacobs to go fuck himself, I would expect a punch. Jeremy Jacobs embodies what I feel like Boston is. I don't even know if he's from Boston, but Jeremy Jacobs is the perfect Bruins owner.
If Boston had a Mr. Burns.
I don't know if that's a good example.
I actually don't hate that. And he's from Buffalo, by the way. But yeah, Jeremy Jacobs is, to me, you don't. What's the rumor? There's a rumored story, and it's so long ago that it doesn't matter. I think you can tell this story now. Can you not tell this story?
Let's not.
I'm not.
Okay. You can't tell that story.
I'm not comfortable. I know listener benefit trumps everything. I'm sorry, everyone. I can't
Okay.
do it.
But this, do you think we could bring on somebody who could?
Yeah.
Okay. One day we're going to tell you a story. And it's a story you're not going to forget. And if you remember from the Alan Walsh episode a couple episodes ago, Alan said it's Jeremy Jacobs and about eight owners that run the league.
Yeah. Oh, well, I could have told you that.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you'd said 8, I would have. Jeremy Jacobs is the free space.
Yeah.
And then you got to
100%.
guess the other 7.
Jeremy Jacobs, there's a reason there's the top owners in the league, and then there's Jeremy Jacob, who is the top of the top owners.
Yes.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah, one time Steve got punched in the face by Jeremy Jacobs.
Yeah.
That's true. That's what
And if Jeremy couldn't punch you, I'm sure he knows someone. I'm not saying he's affiliated or anything. I'm just saying I'm sure you wouldn't want to do that.
Yes. Oh, here's my driver, Sean Thornton.
Is that right? Is that true?
No, I made that
Okay.
up.
Oh my God. I was just going to be like, holy.
I thought of the toughest Bruin I
Holy.
could think of.
Yeah. Yeah. No, anyway, spectacular documentary. So well done. Well produced. Okay. So let's get through this, guys. We're going to do way too early predictions.
Do we have enough time?
Do we have enough time to do this?
I don't think so.
What
time is it?
All right.
We're about hour 20 into the show.
No, we
you
don't
got
have time.
something at 1, right?
1:30. Yeah, I can't.
It's up
You're
to
right.
you.
Okay. Can we
That's
say?
okay. It'll still be way too early on Tuesday.
Do we want to do some of them?
Okay, Can we do like a couple?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Because I
Let's
feel
do that.
I feel super bad.
But then
here.
we'll skip the press conference, I guess, right?
Well, I was going to talk about
Carl.
Karl Marx,
Can we
I don't know.
Carl Marx?
but I guess if you don't think that Karl Marx is important,
I missed being in studios so much. Oh my God.
So we're gonna trim. We'll
Guys.
edit on the fly. We're gonna trim Karl Marx and do a little bit of predictions.
I think that's just selfish, frankly. Selfish. The two of you ought to be ashamed. Okay.
I'm just picturing 31 thoughts. Are we cutting the Karl Marx?
That's almost. Almost to the mic.
All right. So, starting with the Central Division, the Hurricanes, the Panthers, the Lightning, the Predators. Nope, that's 2021. Let's go to
I was like,
2022.
wait.
Oh.
Central Division does not exist. Let's go back to we'll start with the Western Conference. Central Division, Western Conference: Coyotes, Stars, Blues, Blackhawks, Jets, Avs, Wild, and Predators. There's been some switches.
There have been.
Give
I'm
me,
going to sit closer to Jesse. So
starting with Steve Dangle, give me your top 3 in order of 3 to 1 in that division, please.
in order of 3 to 1.
Yes.
Very interesting.
Oh, it has to
Okay.
be in order.
Well, I
like
don't,
3. I think this will finish 3, this will finish 2, and this will finish 1.
I don't like 3 to 1.
Well, I don't care.
I am going to say number 3. It's a tough choice to me. I'm going to give it to the Dallas Stars.
That's gross.
They're going to make into the mic. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. The Dallas Stars.
You know what that sounded like? The goldfish or the fish from Donkey Kong. Do you remember
Oh,
the fish
yes.
from Donkey Kong that would come at you? And
That's probably how they recorded it.
yeah, probably.
Anyway, I'm sorry, everybody, with misophonia and all that. The Dallas Stars, every year there's a good team that nothing goes right for them. And that was
Right.
the Stars last year. So they'll be number 3. Minnesota Wild will be number 2. Colorado Avalanche will be number 1.
Oh, okay. Jesse, do you want to go next?
The Minnesota one is that's kind of your left field pick there.
Really?
Minnesota, you have in the
I mean,
top
Dallas
3?
missed the playoffs.
All right, so Central, right? Mm-hmm. So I got Winnipeg at 3.
Wow.
I thought about them. Yeah.
1 Colorado, and
What is this? 3 and 1?
3, 2, 1.
yeah, I got my 2, and then
You said 1.
yeah, 1 at Colorado, and I got 3 Winnipeg, and now I got my 2. So
He's just trying to be different. Just
no,
let him have it.
because I know I have Colorado. I don't know who I have second,
Oh, okay.
but I think it's gonna be Chicago.
Oh, get out of here with Flower.
It's Chicago.
You know what? Chicago is going to be better.
Because I believe that Chicago believes they're a playoff team this year, and I trust that they know what they're thinking.
Look at that division. Who's bad?
No.
Arizona.
Arizona,
Yeah,
That's
it's a
it.
tough division.
That's a tough
Nashville could
division.
be.
And Nashville could be, well, they could.
St. Louis could be
They
fine.
got to score goals, though. The thing with the Blackhawks is Taze is back, too. I just want to see what his health is going to be.
So my 3 there was Colorado, Chicago, Winnipeg.
I am going to say, I say the Dallas Stars make a resurgence. They had so many injuries last year that it was unfair. This is a Stanley Cup team. You know, maybe they're a second-round team this year. Maybe they're not as good as their Stanley Cup run. But, like, when you don't have Radulov and you don't have, was it Sagan or Ben? Or who was out?
Sagan was out for a long time.
Yeah, like, it was like they didn't have a shot. And they still made a push at the end.
Yeah.
Stars are going to be third.
It's tough, right?
Second place Avalanche. First place Wild.
Interesting.
I think the Minnesota Wild. By the way, apparently the weird contracts for them kick in after this season. Did you know that? Isn't the cap? Do they have 2 seasons or do they have 1?
I thought it was 2.
I think it's 1.
It might be 1
Yeah,
season.
yeah,
I
I
got
think
that. So I had a few people reach out last and say like, "Hey, it's not 2. It's actually 1."
Yeah.
So I have.
That makes it better.
I have. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like they got to do it now, right? So anyway, and they're gonna get Kaprizov signed, but it's hilarious to think that maybe that wouldn't happen. Okay, next division here. We've got Pacific, the Ducks, the Kings, the Canucks, the Oilers, the Flames, the Kraken, the Sharks, and the Golden Knights.
Somewhat different from the Stars, but along the same lines. Calgary should have been better.
Yes.
I'm going to give them number 3.
Wow.
I like their additions. I think Markstrom is going to return to form, and they'll actually give him some support.
Do you think that them not hating each other in the dressing room, if they're able to get there,
That'll help too.
Okay.
I think last year was a great environment. It was a perfect environment for potentially hating a teammate.
Yeah.
Being around each other all the time.
All the time.
And if things are a little bit more relaxed this year, or if life is just a little bit more normal,
Yeah.
I think it'll be better for all involved. Number 2, this may surprise you, I'm going to give to the Oilers.
Interesting.
They're still good.
Of course
and
they are.
again, regular season versus playoffs. They're still good. And number 1, I think the free space is Vegas. They're the best team in that division. I could see them every year. There's one really good team that tanks because there's something between the years. It could be Vegas.
I think so too. I think there's some damage done by Montreal there. I'll
Yeah.
get into that though when it's my turn. Go ahead, Jesse.
From the top down, starting at 1, Edmonton Oilers. Number 2, Los Angeles Kings. Number 3, Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah, the Canucks will be in the mix, and so will the Kings. I don't hate that.
Not the Oilers.
No, Vegas.
I had
Vegas,
Oilers
no,
number
Vegas.
1. Vegas, I'm going to save them for maybe my wild card spot.
Okay.
Right,
We'll get
because, top 3.
We only got 6.
There are other spots, yeah.
So I am actually going to say, I think that the Golden Knights come a hard second. So I'm going to give it to Flames third, Golden Knights second, Oilers first.
Interesting.
And I think the Golden Knights and the Calgary Flames are headed in opposite directions here. I think I picked the Calgary Flames to make the playoffs last year. They really let me down, but I really believe that the Golden Knights could be maybe traumatized by what happened in Montreal.
Yeah.
Any team that finishes 18th that can make Mark Stone put zeros on the board, that's got to rattle your confidence a little bit.
Vegas fans rejoice. The last team we said this about was Tampa in 2019.
There you go. For the Flames, it's like at some point you guys have to be good, right? You have to fluke into being good. There's so much talent on that roster.
No, said Buffalo.
And the one thing I'm worried about with the Oilers, even though I still think they're going to finish first, is their goaltending combo is the same as it was last year. And even Speck in his thing said, listen, we could get 40 games out of 40-year-old Mike Smith, 40 good games. You can't get that out of Mikko Koskinen. Those are your two goalies this year. And here's the thing. Even if that's true about Mike Smith, you can get 40 good games out of him until you can't. Yeah. And then it'll fall away.
And then it'll be Alex Stalock. Who hasn't, he's been a tough little while for him.
I wonder if the Oilers are able to pick up a goalie somewhere in February that like a very good goalie.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go to the Metropolitan Division. This year, Blue Jackets, Rangers, Islanders, Penguins, Hurricanes, Capitals, Flyers, and Devils. Not an easy division.
No, that's a nightmare. That's a nightmare for all involved, and what a toss-up. It's always a toss-up, right? Mm-hmm. Number 3, I'm going to give to the Hurricanes. They're still really good.
Of course.
Number 2, I'm going to give to the Penguins. I'm not concerned about the fact that Crosby's going to miss some time on account of one of Crosby or Malkin is always out. And number 1, I'm going to give to the Islanders. That might be a bit of a risky pick just because they're more playoff performers than regular season, but they're obviously one of the top 3 teams in hockey. They've proven it over the last 2 years.
Jesse Blake.
I'm going to give the number 1 slot to one of the best regular season teams of the last decade, the Washington Capitals.
Yeah.
The number 2 slot to the New York Islanders. And the number 3 slot to the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Did I cut out the Caps?
You did.
I did cut out the Caps.
There's still 2 wildcard spots because we only pick in top 6, right?
I don't think you can ever bet against the Penguins, but I'm not going to have them in my top 3, and I might live to regret it. I think here's what I want to do. I somehow want to include the Rangers in this. I think that they're a better team eventually. I'm not sure when they're going to get there, but I feel like they're going to be a good team here at some point.
Such a toss-up.
But I'm struggling because I haven't seen anything from them in a bit that leads me to believe they're there yet. I am going to go with Capitals, Hurricanes, Islanders, and I'm going to say Capitals are always the number 1 team. Hurricanes are a great number 2. Islanders, they'll still make like the 3rd round, but they're going to come in at number 3. So 3 Islanders, 2 Hurricanes, 1 Capitals, and that brings us to the Atlantic Division.
I was trying to think of who the Devils added before we get to the
Dougie
division.
Hamilton.
Other than Dougie Hamilton, and up front, all I see is Thomas Tatar. Yo, they're still so young and so bad up front.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I don't know. All right, Atlantic.
Yep.
Adam.
Are you ready?
Nope.
Okay.
This is going to hurt some feelings, everybody.
The Atlantic, by the way. Lightning, Bruins, Leafs, Wings, Sabres, Panthers, Canadians, Senators.
I know every year we say the sun is eventually going to set on the Boston Bruins, and it never really seems to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give them number 3.
Interesting.
Number 2, I'll give to the Panthers. And number 1, I got to give to the blue and white, the Tampa Bay Lightning. Which...
the Panthers, huh?
Did anyone notice who's out? Anyone else notice who's out?
It's only top 6. I think we're going to see some serious regression from the Florida Panthers.
I agree with that.
I don't know how likely it is you get your magic bag of beans to all work together seamlessly. Mm-hmm. You know, all the scrap heaps you picked up around the NHL
really
all overperform what they are. So.
And Sam Bennett, we got 11 good games. Let's give them a 4-year deal.
So I don't have them in my top 3, but my top 3 is starting at the top. Tampa, starting at the number 2. Toronto, starting at the number 3. Boston.
Yeah.
So you have Tampa number 1, Toronto number 2, Boston number 3.
Yes.
I can't wait for Bruins fans to rub this in our face, Jesse, but I'm going to go with the exact same. Bruins 3, Leafs 2, Lightning 1. And here's what I'm going to say. You know who's my number 4 in that division? It ain't the Panthers. It's the Ottawa Senators.
You have the Sens above the Habs?
I do.
Guys,
wow.
are the Montreal Canadiens going to make the Stanley Cup playoffs?
No. No.
Okay. Look at the camera.
Montreal's not going to make the playoffs.
No, say it to the camera.
Montreal's not going to make the playoffs. You're not.
What's the date today?
You don't have Shea Weber anymore.
September
You don't have Phil Deneau anymore.
16th, Thursday, September
Carey Price
16th,
limped. By the way, if it was a full 82 games, they're not making the playoffs last year either.
You don't know that.
There was potential.
But do you know that?
No.
Thank you.
Okay. So let me just throw this at you, okay?
The North Division was so bad, man.
Ottawa finished.
Damn it.
They went to the Stanley Cup final.
Ottawa finished 8 points behind them last year. And they're going to grow. And they're going to be more annoying. And again, remember Montreal, no Shea Weber, no Phil Deneau. We're not sure about how healthy Carey Price is. Jonathan Drouin's going to be center. Maybe.
I think Montreal's the 7th seed in the East.
I don't think they're making it. I think Sens
They
will,
get
though.
that. They get that first wild card spot.
I think the Sens clinch it on game 82 in dramatic fashion. I really think that. I think they're going to be one of those teams. And then whoever they play in the first round, I don't know if they win, but I feel like they're going to make it 6 or 7 games against whoever's number one. So it'd probably be Tampa. And then Tampa afterwards going to go, man, they were really tough. And then Tampa's going to win the cup.
Maximum psychological damage, Toronto.
I think the Golden Knights have had the maximum psychological damage. Toronto was damaged coming into this. What more damage could you do?
No. The maximum psychological damage is the Sens beat the Leafs.
Oh, Steven! Why would you even say that out loud?
Because why not? Just throw it out there.
I think you're overrating how far along the Ottawa Senators are in their rebuild because of how the North Division played out last year.
Goaltending's tough.
What do you mean? Matt Murray's great. 2-time Stanley Cup winner.
Wasn't great last year. I think the North Division masked a lot of things during the regular season.
Yeah.
And just with that schedule and playing these teams over and over and over again, the Ottawa Senators probably played a lot better than they would have in a regular season.
So Ottawa won 46% of their games last year. I'm about 46% confident this year that they're going to make the playoffs. But I'm more confident in them than I am the Montreal Canadiens.
Wow.
And look, Tyler Toffoli finished 7th in scoring last year.
Did he?
Yes. Is Tyler Toffoli going to do that again?
Yeah. Well, now
They do have Mike Hoffman.
He's not in the same division as the Canucks. So.
Yeah, he scored 90% of all of his points versus the Canucks.
And 90% of all their wins against the Canucks. Like everything.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Cute. This season's going to be fascinating because I don't really know where these teams are.
Man, Florida finished 4th in the NHL last year. Yeah. Isn't that nuts? That's going to be interesting.
Said the guy who picked them to make the playoffs.
Honestly, I do. Maybe they do make the playoffs, but I really like. I look at that goaltending situation, and unless Bobrovsky's like, I'm deciding to have a Vezina trophy this year.
Spencer Knight's good.
He is, but Carter Hart was good too. You have wobbles when you're a goalie at the beginning of your career, right? We've seen that. Doesn't mean he's not going to be great. Maybe he's great.
It is,
but I want to see it. I want to see it
nice
regularly.
Looking at the divisions and going, who's bad? Like there are so few bad teams in this league. The bad ones are bad.
Yeah.
Like even the Devils. I think the Devils aren't in that conversation anymore. They're not very good though.
This is going to be a fascinating year. I can't wait for the season to start. This is going to be exciting.
Yeah, I'm there. I know a lot of people. I've spoken to a lot of Leaf fans who are like, I'm just not ready. I'm just not ready.
And that's
but
fair.
aren't you ready for hockey though?
I think it's fair because it's only been like a month and a half.
Yeah.
So, of course, you're a little burnt out. I get that. But once it gets going and the drama starts and we're able to talk about all this stuff again, I think you'd be into it.
Leafs' first preseason game is in like 9 days.
Oof, that's awesome.
Yeah, I found that out yesterday, and I'm like, I need to make a prospect pyramid. I need to make a lot of videos that take a long time. All right, let's do it. Let's go.
Well, fun times at the ranch. So we'll kind of leave it there. Shout out to former Leafs GM John Ferguson Jr., now the assistant GM in Arizona.
Fascinating.
Well,
and now my nightmare won't come true.
What's the nightmare?
Of the Bruins winning the Stanley Cup and Tuukka Rask passed the Stanley Cup to John Ferguson Jr. Now my nightmare, that's okay.
It would have been perfect though, wouldn't it have?
No.
All right, well, we'll leave it there. Sorry about the lack of the Karl Marx conversation. You probably needed to find out about the proletariat. You probably wanted to know why it's really important that Marxism has never been tried anywhere except for everywhere it's been tried. But I'll have to save it for down the road.
Karl Marx balls!
Are they shaved?
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.